can AI be fully conscious? Meaning, can artificial intelligence be fully conscious? Now, one would argue if artificial intelligent machines, essentially physical machines that have a computer program, can these machines be fully conscious like human beings? If they can be fully conscious, this can undermine the foundations of Islam from the point of view that we as conscious beings are no different than a machine, and therefore we're just blind, non-rational, non-conscious electrons whizzing around. We're an amalgamation, a collection of all of these different electrons that's whizzing around. So one would argue this would undermine what it means to be human from the Islamic discourse perspective. Also, it may undermine the understanding of the ruh, of the soul in Islam, because we have a general position that the ruh is nothing physical from the point of view that it's made up of physical stuff that we experience in the world, but it's a metaphysical reality. So from this perspective, can AI, can artificial intelligence undermine religious narratives? Can it undermine Islam? Now, what's very important to understand here is there is a difference between strong artificial intelligence and weak artificial intelligence. So let me explain. Weak artificial intelligence is the artificial intelligence that we're experiencing today and we may experience even more in the future, which is a computer or a machine or a robot that has a computer program can be extremely intelligent. For example, it can play chess with 500 chess players and you could beat them all in 5 minutes, okay? So that's the kind of weak artificial intelligence. I know it sounds funny because you're calling such intelligence weak, but it's called weak from the point of view that it is very smart and it can undergo these rational processes, but it's not fully conscious, meaning it does not have the ability to attach meaning to the computer program, to the computer symbols. It doesn't have inner subjective conscious states, otherwise known as phenomenal states in the language of the philosophy of the mind. So there is a difference between weak AI and strong AI. Weak AI, that computers and artificial intelligent machines are very intelligent, but they are not going to have inner subjective conscious experiences. They're not going to have this inner subjective conscious states, also known as phenomenal states. Strong AI is not only that computers and artificial intelligent robots and machines, not only are they intelligent, but they also can have inner subjective conscious experiences. They can also have meaning and attach meaning to symbols. So there is a difference between weak AI and strong AI. Weak AI does not undermine religious discourse. Strong AI has the potential to undermine religious discourse. So what I'm going to show you today, inshallah, is a thought experiment by Professor John Searle that really shows you how to distinguish between weak AI and strong AI. So we can affirm as Muslims that weak AI can definitely exist. They could be very smart, they could be super smart. In 100 years, they could be even smarter than we can ever imagine. But would they ever have consciousness from the point of view of having inner subjective conscious states? Would they have the ability to attach meaning to symbols? No. And this is why. Now, before I get into the thought experiment, the first main reason is, well, artificial intelligence is an extension of our own intelligence. It's a protraction of our own intelligence. So from this point of view, there's nothing that we should be surprised about. And it doesn't mean that all of a sudden artificial intelligence is going to be conscious in the way that we think, that they would have feelings and inner subjective conscious states. They're just merely a mirroring of our own intelligence. As William Hasker, he says, computers function as they do because they have been constructed by a human being endowed with rational insight. A computer, in other words, is merely an extension of the rationality of its designers and users. It is no more an independent source of rational thought than a television set is an independent source of news and entertainment. The second reason that artificial intelligence won't be fully conscious in the way that we discussed is that artificial intelligence, it does not have intentionality. This is a complex word in the philosophy of the mind, but intentionality is related to meaning. So what do we mean by intentionality? Intentionality means that the thinking process or the system or the human being or the cognitive faculties are about something. It's about something other than itself. For example, I'm a human being and I have intentionality. I know that my thoughts and the representation that's happening in my mind, whether it's in a visual format or in the form of thinking, is about something other than the thought. It's about, for example, the computer screen that I'm looking at. I have intentionality. I have intentionality, which means that I have thoughts, and these thoughts and ideas are about something other than me, about something other than the abstract thought itself. It represents something outside, so to speak. Like I am looking at this computer screen. I have intentionality now because my thoughts about the computer screen, I know they're about something outside of the thought itself. This is intentionality. Now, we would argue that computer programs or artificial intelligent robots or machines with a computer program, they don't have intentionality. In other words, they don't have meaning. They cannot put meaning or connect meaning to the abstract program symbols that they have. Let me give you an example for you to understand this. You have to understand the difference between syntax and semantics. Syntax is the rearrangement of symbols, just like that you have in a computer program. Fundamentally, all computer programs are a rearrangement of zeros and ones. Semantics is about meaning. Now, computer programs and artificial intelligent robots, they cannot attach meaning to the symbols. All they know, if you want to use such a word, they just know how to rearrange the symbols in complex ways. They can't attach meaning to the symbols. Let me give you another thought experiment to understand this. Take the 3 statements as an example and say we were to write these down. Statement number 1, I love my family. Statement number 2, agabotin igogeniamu. So the first two statements, these 2 statements say I love my family. That's the semantic content. It's saying I love my family. But the way that meaning, that semantics is arranged in different symbols. Number 1, you have the English language, I love my family. Number 2, you have the Greek language, agabotin igogeniamu. Now, for you who don't know any Greek, if I were to give you all the letters and teach you how to put them in the correct order with the correct spaces, if you were to put all of that together and you would spell out agabotin igogeniamu, which means I love my family, you would never be able to understand that it means I love my family, because all you are doing is arranging the symbols in a correct way. You have the correct program, if you like. You know how to arrange the symbols in the correct way, but you don't know what the symbols mean. In order for you to understand the arrangement of the Greek letters, in this case Greek symbols, you would have to know what the words actually mean. And that's why there's a difference between syntax and semantics. There's a difference between an arrangement of symbols and attaching meaning to the symbols. So the following argument can be developed from this. Number 1, computer programs or artificial intelligent programs are syntactical. Basically, they're based on syntax, based on symbols. Number 2, human minds have meaning, they have semantics. Number 3, syntax by itself is neither sufficient nor constitutive for semantics. Conclusion, therefore, computer programs, artificial intelligent programs are not minds. So